Here at Hubbard's Marina with another Sunday night live stream show. That's right, it's Sunday night, y'all, and it is time for that live stream fishing show. We are going to get started here very shortly and with our live stream shore, and we're going to be talking all about fishing near shore and offshore and giving away free trips. That's right, it is another Sunday night episode of this live stream show, and I appreciate y'all joining us. If you're watching live, just stay tuned to where you see the video start. If you're not watching live, you can skip forward to where you see the video start. So if you're watching live, bear with us. We'll start here shortly. If you're not watching live, then you can skip ahead in the video to where you see the video stream actually start. So it's Sunday night. This is our live stream show. We do this every Sunday night here at Hubbard's Marina, and our live stream show is an hour long. You get a chance to win free fishing trips. That's right, we give away over $700 in free fishing trips. All you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And we're going to answer your questions live during the show. All you have to do to get your question answered is text that phone number in the upper right-hand corner. So make sure you text that phone number in the upper right-hand corner if you have a question, or if you want to get your question or topic, or if you've always wondered something, if whatever it is, tonight is your night to get it answered. So make sure you go ahead and ask your questions in that text line in the upper right hand corner, and we will get your question answered live during the show. Make sure you comment where you're watching from. Don't forget to like the video if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up on YouTube. We'd really appreciate it. If you're not watching live, don't forget to, or whether you're watching live or not watching live, don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. Watching from, really don't forget to like the video if you're always watching. Helpful when we are able to share this with more friends and family. So make sure you comment where you're watching from. Like the video on Facebook, thumbs up it on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you follow us or like our page on Facebook. We also have Instagram. We also have Snapchat. So don't forget to check out those different options as well. We are going to get started here tonight very shortly with our live stream show. Hopefully you guys have some questions. We've got some photos to show you of what we've been catching. We're going to talk a little bit about the weather. We're going to go over what's going on here at Hubbard's Marina and what's coming up. And we're going to give away free trips. So sit back and relax. Make sure you have your drink ready, and we're going to get started on this live stream show. So with that, I think it is time to get rolling here. And hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina. Hubbard's Marina has been fishing local waters since 1928, over or almost 100 years and 4 generations. Hubbard's Marina has been offering nearshore and offshore fishing tips, tricks, and more. And tonight we're going to be sharing some of that information and some of those tips and tricks with you guys. So thanks for tuning in and thanks for watching. Again, don't forget, if you have a question, make sure you send us that question to that phone number in the upper right hand corner. And then if you want to win a free trip, if you want a chance to be entered into the drawing for a free fishing trip, make sure you comment at least one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. That's going to enable you to have an entry into that free trip giveaway. One lucky winner is going to be chosen for a 5-hour half day for 2 guests. One lucky winner is going to be chosen for a 10-hour all day for 2 guests. And then one lucky winner is going to either win a 39-hour trip at half price or a 39-hour trip completely free, depending on how many viewers we have. Right now it looks like we're probably sitting at about about, yep, just under 300 live viewers right now. We need 400 total to give away a free 39-hour trip for one person. And in order to win, you have to watch the show randomly. We're going to do a drawing. If you're picked as one of those lucky winners, you have to text that phone number in the upper right-hand corner, your full home address, to claim that free trip. Again, if you're picked as the winner, you text that phone number, your full home address, in about 5 minutes or so, and that proves you were watching the show live, and that enters you, or that enables you to claim that free trip. So you watch the show, you comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. If you're picked as the lucky winner, you text that phone number in the upper right hand corner within about 5 minutes to claim that free trip, and we'll mail it out to you. So that's how that works. And with that, let's get into what we've been catching. So we're going to talk a little bit about the inshore fishing first, what we've been seeing inshore, what we've been catching inshore, and what's biting inshore. So let's start there and see what's going on inshore. The mangrove snapper continue to be impressive throughout the entire area, whether you're fishing John's Pass, Blinds Pass, Paso Grill, the Skyway Fishing Pier, Clearwater Pass, it doesn't matter. Pretty much anywhere where water's moving and there's some structure, whether it's a dock, seawall, bridge, jetty, pier, these mangrove snapper are thick right now. So mangrove snapper bite is on and popping. Thanks, Richard Carmichael, for sending us some stars on Facebook. I appreciate it. And Bill Corley, I appreciate you as well for sending some stars. Some more mangrove snapper action. The redfish bite has been really good. We've been seeing a lot of redfish throughout the area. The redfish bite this time of year definitely starts picking up for us. We see those redfish start schooling up a little bit more around the edges of Tampa Bay, Weeden Island, the South Shore, even upper Tampa Bay. A lot of big schools of these redfish. Pinellas Point, good area to find them. Those big grass flats, you can find these redfish in about 2 to 4 foot of water. Dead cut bait on the bottom's been working really well. These soft plastic paddle tails, also a great way to target those redfish out on the flats around the oyster bars and mangrove shorelines. Here's some more redfish we've been seeing. The small sharks are definitely throughout the entire area right now. We're seeing a lot of these small sharks. This time of year, the big female sharks actually swim into the back bays and the mouth of the bays, and they actually give birth to their live pups, the live sharks. So most shark species give birth to live young, and those females will turn around and actually try to eat these little baby shark pups. It's a shark eat shark world. And then as those little shark pups escape their mother, they'll go hang out in the estuaries, the mangrove shorelines, on the grass flats, around the structures of the area. They'll get a little bigger, and once they're about 3 feet, 3.5 feet, they start swimming offshore and make their way through the passes and out onto the beaches, and then eventually offshore. And the big dad sharks are hanging out along the beaches, waiting to spawn with the females as they depart, and they also eat a lot of those smaller sharks. So needless to say, this whole story is to show you how many sharks are in the area in this summertime. When the water's warm, these sharks are around doing their thing. So light tackle around the grass flats, you can chum, you can catch a lot of trout, maybe some mangrove snapper, and maybe even a bunch of these sharks, which are a lot of fun on light tackle. So anchoring up or power pulling down and using some white bait chum is a great way to have a lot of fun on the flats right now. Shauna Gray, Bill Corley, really appreciate you sending stars. David Fox, Jordan Prince, Richard Carmichael, you guys all sending stars. I appreciate it, y'all. Starting this show off strong. The snook bite's definitely going well. We're seeing a lot of those snook around the passes right now, around Blinds Pass, Clearwater Pass, John's Pass, the dock lines during the day, and around sunset and a little bit before sunrise. Great time to find those snook. The snook are definitely biting really well. At night around the docks and bridge lights, the snook are just stacked up. Right before sunrise, feeding really well, especially when that water's moving at night. Beautiful snook for sure. Nice snook out on the beach. This one's out on the beach right there on the swash channel of the beach, cruising up and down the beach. You can find those big snook around the grass flats in the upper bay, around the mangrove shorelines. Excuse me, the jetties of the passes at night, great area to find plenty of snook. A lot of trout around as well. The trout bite's been going pretty good on the edges of the grass flats and around the dock lines and such as well. So great time to go inshore fishing. Water is hot, so definitely earlier in the morning, earlier in the day, later in the day after the heat of the sun is definitely a better time. Those fish are trying to stay cool themselves, so the shaded area underneath docks are holding a lot of fish. Also, we're seeing a lot of those fish around the passes hanging down towards the bottom, trying to stay cooler in that moving water. And we're seeing a lot of those fish bite that cut bait or live bait weighted to the bottom, hanging out on or near the bottom. That's been the trick lately inshore. So enough about inshore. Let's make our way offshore and talk a little bit about what we've been catching near shore and offshore. Thanks Keith McNeil and Greg Wynn. And Greg Wynn sent a bunch of stars. Thank you. Demetrius Toller sent 500 stars as well. Appreciate you guys. Anthony Barnes, thank you. All right, so offshore, let's see what's biting offshore. It is amberjack time. Those amberjack are open right now. We've been catching a lot of these amberjack and doing pretty well on them. Getting a larger grade of amberjack recently. The trip that came in this morning had some monster amberjack, which we're going to see some of those photos here shortly. Definitely a good time to get out there. Some light loads on the trips too. Light loads means plenty of room to fish. Even Miss Tammy was getting out there and showing the guys and gals that she still got it. This is an Almaco jack. That's a big Almaco jack too. Nice mangrove snapper there. The mangrove snapper bite's definitely picking up a little bit. We did really well on the mangroves on the trip before last. The one that came in this morning fished a little different area. They fished super deep water, which got us really big amberjack and monster gag grouper and plenty of heads and tails, but not a lot of mangroves. The trip before that, the weekend trip, just destroyed not the weekend trip, the super light Tuesday trip that I was telling you guys all about last week during the show that not a lot of you took me up on. They crushed the mangroves. They did really well. Big old pile of mangroves after that trip, almost a boat limit. That's how good it was. So some of the best mangrove snapper fishing we've seen in months was on that super light Tuesday trip I was telling you guys about. This weekend they did well too, but it was definitely more of the bigger fish out there in deeper water. So a little different, but good to see the mangroves chewing again, catching those mackerel, trolling on the way out on the 39 hour. Here's a nice sunset on the ride out. Don't know how that made it into our fishing photos, but hey, it's a nice photo. Here's one of those big gag grouper, but don't worry, we've got a bigger one coming. Definitely a nice gag, nice mangrove snapper. Big tuna. We've been seeing a lot of these blackfin tuna lately. Definitely a good time to catch those blackfins. And here's that big gag. So this gentleman was very happy catching that monster gag grouper. Nice blackfin tuna, monster jacks. These are some of the big jacks from that weekend trip that just came in this morning. Look at that guy. That is a 100-pound class amberjack if I ever saw one. Beautiful fish. Monster amberjack. Now that is a fighter right there. That's a one and done type fish. There's some of those amberjack and some of those big gags. I mean, just huge fish. And unfortunately, I wasn't around to holler at the Will and Jason. So this is the fish pile from this morning's trip. There is a barrel of amberjack right here, and then there's another barrel of fish next to it. So there's still 2 more barrels of fish, and there's only about 30 people fishing. So super light load and a huge pile of fish. Thanks Anthony Barnes, Richard Carmichael, Michelle Mybell, Cinder Goldsmith, David Fox. A lot of people sending stars tonight. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. So needless to say, a great catch of fish. Some nice vermilion, some porgies, some yellowtails, lots of big fish too out there in the deep water, some scamp, big gags. It was a great 39-hour trip, and we got more coming up. No super crazy light loads like this past Tuesday that you missed out on, but still plenty of great trips to go out on here at Hubbard's Marina. Plus, a lot of the other trips are running super light too, like our 10-hour all days. We've been having really light loads on the 10-hour all days. This past Thursday, went out there. I think we had 17 people on the 10-hour trip. So super light loads on our half days, 10 hours. It's a great time of year to get out there and join us. The weekends are still pretty busy. So the weekend 39-hour trips, the weekend 5-hour trips are still running pretty full. But during the week, it is becoming a ghost town quickly. Kids are going back to school, and it's a great time if you're local or if you're an out-of-towner and you want to come for a quick visit. This is the time of year to do it. When the kids go back to school Monday through Friday, it is light loads for sure. So with that, I think it's time to get this party started and give away a 5-hour half-day fishing trip. So a 5-hour half-day fishing trip for 2 people going to be given away now. 5-hour half-day for 2 people. Remember, if you're picked as that lucky winner, you have to text us in the upper right-hand corner to claim your trip in about 5 minutes. John Quigney from Kentucky. You won that 5-hour half-day fishing trip. Make sure you text us with your home address to claim that free fishing trip here quickly, John. Man, the stars are rolling in tonight. I appreciate it, guys. Greg Wynn, Chicken Bone, Steve Shirk, Keith McNeil, Chad Peterson, Keith McNeil again, Justin Bendis. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. All right. And with that, I think it's time to talk a little bit about the weather. Weather is definitely going to play a little bit more of a role. So we're coming into that time of year. It is hurricane season. And with that, we have to watch our tropical weather. So I want to show you something real quick. Our new homepage is so cool. I like the video a lot. It plays all the time. I just leave it up on my computer and watch the video back and forth. I'm just kidding. I do a little bit though. So on the new website or newly redesigned website, you still have the same great weather links. So under fishing trips, scroll down to weather links, and on our weather links page, the ultimate storm forecast is right at the bottom, spaghettymodels.com. This is our friend Mike's weather page. Well, I wish he was a friend. I watch a lot of his videos. He's a cool dude. He lives in Tampa, local, and basically does what I do on Sunday nights, like every day, multiple times a day. He lives to share tropical weather. So this is what we got going on right now. We've got 2 different spots to watch, both heading west. Could perhaps play a role a week, 2 weeks down the road, who knows. Just keeping our eyes on things. Needless to say, right now though, if you go back to our weather links page under fishing trips, scroll down to weather links. On our weather links page, if you go up to the top, you can see right now, as far as the eye can see, it is nice weather, and this just changed, so this must be one of those storms they're forecasting might be making it up into the Gulf. So that just changed since last time I looked at it, because last time I looked at it, it was gorgeous all the way through. So good example of why you can really only look at weather 3 or 4 days out, because once you get past 3 or 4 days, it's just models, educated guess, algorithms that are basically guessing at what could happen. And with tropical systems, with these low pressures, everything can change in a drop of a hat. So really don't put much stock into this quite yet. We'll see what happens. But going back to Mike's weather page, if you go up here into the top corner, I'm going to scroll in so you can see these are the different ensembles or models. And I like the GFS because it's just easy to use and easy to understand. I don't know, I clicked an ad. Glad that wasn't anything crazier. Sometimes these ads that pop up, you never know. But this is the GFS ensemble. You can use this little arrow up here. I don't know if you see my mouse, but up there, you can move that arrow forward. And you see the two red lows. That's what we just looked at. That had a 40% chance. So as you see, the date changes here. So August 23rd, they were forecasting that weather to get a little squirrely on us. And sure enough, the ensemble has changed. Mother dang. So this has changed since last time I looked at it. Both of those things look like they're going up into the Gulf Basin. I looked at this earlier today twice. Look at those suckers. They follow each other right up there. There's one, there's two. They follow each other right into the Gulf. Oh, that's like some perfect storm situation. And there's another one there. So there's 3 low pressures sitting in the Gulf of Mexico. That's going to be an interesting last week of August. Looks like the last week of August, the 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th. Definitely going to be something to watch. I don't really understand the ensembles, the models, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time manipulating them and talking about them because I'm by no means an expert, but I'm learning more over time. Basically, just watching. I make sure you follow Mike's weather page, and I basically just watch each one of his updates, and that's where I've learned what I've learned. If we're being honest. But it's a pretty cool way to keep up to date with the tropical systems without all the fluff of trying to navigate news and Weather Channel and stuff like that. It's a lot harder. But with that, we talked about what we've been catching. We talked a little bit about the weather, which the weather looks gorgeous for the next 5 to 7 days, and then not going to be so gorgeous perhaps in about 7 days after those storms make their way over. But who knows? That could change. Like I said, everything can change with those ensembles. It looked totally different this morning when I looked at it. So definitely keep our eyes on it, but don't plan for it, or don't change plans because of it yet. So keeping our eyes on it though. But next week, this whole week, upcoming Monday through basically this weekend, looks gorgeous. So get out there on the water for sure. Now with that, let's get into some questions. The first question of the night is a doozy. This person sent it in early, so I can't really avoid it. If you send it later in the night, I might be able to avoid it, but definitely can't avoid it at this point because you sent it so early. So Mr. Robinson asked, where do you think rules and regulations for the recreational and commercial fleets are going, and how will it change our fishing? Heavy question there. Where do you even go from there? So basically what I feel is one thing to start off, making it clear. Here at Hubbard's Marina, we run charter boats and party boats. We are considered by the federal government, by fisheries managers and scientists, we are considered recreational. Now, there's this new term out there called charter for hire, and charter for hire lumps together charter boats and party boats, and people sometimes think, oh, you're a charter, you're commercial. That's not true. You have a commercial fisherman that goes out there with no customers on board. Their goal is to catch a bunch of fish, and then they take them to market. Some people vilify them or make them out to be the pillagers of the sea. It's not really the case. They have more rules and regulations than anybody on the water. They have a lot of crazy things that they have to jump through and make happen before they can go fishing. Now, charter for hire, we're still part of the recreational industry or the recreational sector, and we are considered recreational fishermen. I consider myself a recreational fisherman because I'm going out there for an opportunity to catch fish. We don't make money based on how full our box is. Now, granted, the fuller box, the happier the guests, the more chance that we're going to have them come back. But our goal is good customer service, a great experience, and that opportunity to catch fish. We don't guarantee fish, and we don't go out there and stay out there until our boxes are full like a commercial boat. So we're basically recreational fishermen too. We are a vehicle to get recreational fishermen out on the water. So just to start off that conversation, you have to kind of lay out the three sectors. Really, they're just two sectors. You got recreational and commercial, and charter for hire, party boats are in recreational. So that's kind of how it goes. Now, to answer your question, where do I think recreational fishery and commercial fisheries are going? I think a lot of people are talking about and playing with and flirting with the idea of rights-based management. We've seen it in the commercial fleet with the IFQ and the IFQ system and quotas and people being able to own shares and lease shares. That's what they tried to do in the party boat and charter boat industry here just recently, and luckily that got voted down. It was a lot of work and a lot of fighting, but luckily that got voted down. But now they're talking about doing that in the recreational fleet, where you get shares or stamps or who knows. Basically, I don't see it going anywhere good. There's a lot of infighting. There's a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of players at the table, and all I know is our fishery is in such a state that we have a great fishery and we catch a lot of fish. Now, there's a lot of arguing going on and a lot of people at the table and a lot of people trying to eat out of one pie, and they're fighting over crumbs. And when you fight over crumbs, sometimes people can get a little bit out of sorts and one-sided and one-tracked mind and kind of think of only oneself. So where I see the fishery going is wherever we work together to lead it. And that's the trick. We all have to work together and stay attuned and stay active and involved in the fisheries management and the fisheries science side of things. And that's where I'll be, because I want to keep this fishery and our ability to go fishing open and available for my son and his sons and future generations and my daughters and his daughters. I mean, we all take part in this fishery. We all derive happiness, and some of us derive careers from it and businesses from it. So we all have to work together to keep it going. So where do I see the fishing going? I think rights-based management is going to be a big discussion over the course of the coming years with this electronic monitoring coming up for charter for hire. They're talking about electronic monitoring and electronic logbooks for recreational, private recreational. So definitely electronic reporting followed with electronic monitoring, followed with rights-based management. That's kind of where I see everybody moving to, which is a dangerous, slippery slope. And hopefully we can stay size limits, bag limits, seasons, and stay there. But that's as deep into fisheries regulations and your 1,000-foot question as I want to go. If you have a specific fishery regulations question, we can definitely talk more about it. All right, let's see here. Question for the show. Couldn't remember on my last trip. Are we to use regular circle hooks or octopus hooks? Are they both legal as long as they are not stainless? So the rule is you must use, when fishing for bottom reef species with natural bait, you must use a non-offset, non-stainless circle hook. So as long as it's not offset and not stainless and it's a circle hook, it meets the regulation and it's considered a legal hook. So to answer your question, I believe both of those hooks will work as long as they're not stainless or offset. Is there a different way to target scamp, gag, and red grouper, or is it just the luck of the draw? It really comes down to the bait you're using and a little bit of the luck of the draw for sure. I mean, for me, to target gag grouper, you want a big lively bait, and you want to make sure that you're holding bottom naturally, presenting that bait real naturally, and you got to be patient. You got to let it sit there. You got to let them eat. For red grouper, just big bait, big dead bait, being in the right place at the right time. Scamp grouper, a small pinfish, strip of squid, one of those hammered diamond jigs. Again, just right place, right time. It's a little bit of skill. a little bit of luck and a lot of patience and a lot of effort, and you'll definitely get them not dialed in. I think a lot of the grouper, especially on a party boat, comes down to getting them to bite, and then once you get them to bite, getting them out of the rock, getting them out of the hole, and getting them onto the boat. A lot of people are like, I want to catch a grouper, I want to catch a grouper, and you go out fishing, and all of a sudden they retie 10 times because they got hung up in the rock and broke off. It's like, well, there was your 10 grouper. So a lot of the times it comes down to a little bit of that too, capitalizing when you finally do get the bite. Thanks for all the stars, guys. Jordan Prince, Mike McKenna. I know a couple people sent stars when I was talking. Chad Peterson, appreciate you guys. Someone asked, can I wear Crocs on a fishing trip? You can wear Crocs on a fishing trip. A lot of our crew does wear Crocs. Do I recommend it? No. I personally don't like Crocs. They don't have good grip, and they're soft, real easy to be smashed, and it doesn't really protect your foot from a fish spine. They're very soft. So I like wearing those extra tough ankle boots or some of the shorter ankle boots, some that's going to protect your foot from fish and give you extra grip. Now, if you're talking about a 5-hour half day, Crocs are fine. If you're talking about a 39-hour, you really want to have those boots. So it kind of depends on the trip. Let's see here. What is the best time of year for an all-day trip? The best time of year to go fishing is when you're available to go fishing. That's always the best time of year. There's not one time of year to go better or to go fishing better than any other. Just when you're available is a good time to go. The 10-hour all day, we're fishing 15 to 20 miles from 15 to 25 miles from shore, and there's really not one time of the year better than any other, depending on what you want to catch. Now, if you told me, hey, I want to catch a hogfish, then I would say probably October through around March, April is the best time to go on a 10-hour all day. If you told me you wanted to catch a lot of fish, I would tell you really any time of the year is a good time of year, depending on the weather and what's going on, So it depends on what you want to catch. That's going to dictate what time of year is best specifically. But again, like I said, in my opinion, as long as you're available, go fishing. It's a good time to be out there for sure. Bait, where did it go? Thank you. Love the show. Bait, where did it go? I assume you're perhaps asking about the live bait that we see inshore to cast net. I'm not sure about your question or what it means. I mean, we've had a lot of live bait around the beaches and on the beaches, but definitely not a lot of live bait near shore or offshore lately. It's more of a spring and fall thing as those currents kind of change, the temperature changes, gets those baits moving a little bit more. Randy Kessel, appreciate the 1,000 stars, man. Always sending plenty of them. Thank you so much. Robin Pratt, Estelle Wolfman, Barbara Austin, appreciate you guys as well. Let's see. Not seeing video. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Hopefully everybody's seeing the video okay out there. I haven't seen any comments about having... No one's really complaining yet, so hopefully everybody can see the video okay. Let's see here. What's the next question? While waiting for the live show, I saw a video from 4 years ago on a 63-hour deep drop trip. Are any of those trips planned and coming up? So right now we are not offering the 63-hour deep drop trip. We get this question a little often because we still have those videos up on our YouTube channel, and there's still some stuff floating around about our 63-hour trip. So we used to run a 63-hour trip on our party boat where we'd run out there and deep drop fish, meaning we'd fish 500, 600, 800, 900, 1,000 feet of water for different species like golden, excuse me, geez, I can't even think of the name, long-tail bass, glass-eyed snapper, different things like tilefish, the yellow edge grouper, the brownies, or the snowy grouper, and maybe even a Warsaw. A lot of those tile fish, and then some of the other species as well that we catch out there deep drop fishing. Now, we haven't done those 63-hour trips in the last year or two, and we don't plan on doing them anymore. The reason for that is for a 63-hour trip, we can only take 14 people. So we're only making 14 people happy, and in order to run one of those trips, we have to cancel a 10-hour trip, 2 half days, and not offer a 39-hour trip. So we're essentially canceling 4 trips to run one. So instead of taking 100 people out, 120 people out there and making them happy and providing memories and opportunities to get on the water, we're only providing opportunities for 14 people. And if the weather is at all adverse out there in 1,000 foot of water, we can't run a 63-hour, because to fish in 1,000 foot of water, we need almost perfect conditions, and it's not perfect offshore a lot of the times. And so many people book these trips so far in advance. We'd have people book these trips a year out. They'd go and buy $1,000 electric reel setup. They'd buy all this tackle. They'd get all prepped. We'd answer a bunch of questions. We'd get them all set up, and then come to the day of the trip, it's 3-foot seas. We have to cancel, and we could have ran a half day or 2 half days and all day in a 39-hour trip without a problem, without even blinking an eye. But we had to cancel that 63-hour, and those 14 people are furious. They've been planning for a year. They bought this electric reel, they bought this tackle, and they want refunds on everything. Basically, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. It was a lot of planning, a lot of logistics, a lot of questions, a lot of pre-planning and purchasing, and then trips would get canceled due to 3-foot seas or 4-foot seas, where we could run a 39-hour trip and take 25, 30 people out there and make them happy. So it didn't make sense to run past fish to go find fish and to continually piss people off. It's not how we do business. So we discontinued the 63-hour trips, to answer your question. Randy Kessel, more stars. Really appreciate it, man. Big star guy tonight, Randy Kessel. Sherry Griffiths, Jim Evans, appreciate you guys as well. Let's see here. What is the rundown on the new diesel in the hub? So we freshen up our motors quite often. So the hub hasn't had a new motor in a handful of years, and it was time. So we pulled out the old motor, popped in a new motor, and freshened up the boat a little bit, freshened up the look a little bit, and she's back in operation. We splashed her 4 days after, total of 4 days. It took them half a day to get the boat up, another half a day to get the old motor out. Took them about a full day to get the new motor put in. Finished up some final touches, back in the water and running trips on the 4th day. Incredible the things our crew and captains can do. We have such a great team. Very, very blessed. So the new rundown is it's the exact same motor, just newer. So nothing much has changed on the hub. Still a beautiful workhorse private charter boat. We've got the Flying Hub 2 going out for dry dock here in early November, and that boat is going to just basically be getting working a facelift, some cleaning up underneath the deck of things that have been changed or changed over the course of the last 4 years of us owning that boat and running it hard. And we've got new captain on that boat, Captain Rich, Captain Joe, and they want to make it their own. They want to clean it up and make it pretty, and basically bring it back to life. It's been rode hard and fish hard for the last 4 years, and basically just giving her some TLC and fixing it back up, fixing the dash back up, and just making it more efficient, if you will. So Flying Hub 2, you're not going to notice much, but we're going to have nicer or a new paint job and perhaps a new wrap when we come out of dry dock. We're not changing anything drastic like motors or anything like that, but we are going to fix up our seats, make sure our cushions are back nice and everything like that. And then the Florida, she's going to dry dock. She's getting a pretty big facelift in the engine room, new intercoolers, new heat exchangers, new injectors, cleaning out the heads, that kind of stuff. We're not pulling the motors, but we're basically pulling the motors because we're tearing them apart, pulling pieces out. New power plants for both generators, doing a lot of stuff on the inside and outside, sanding it down, priming it, painting it, new coat of paint inside and out. So the Florida will be out for, I believe it's 6 weeks. So a lot of dry docks coming up. We had the Hub, now we have the Florida, then we have the Flying Up 2, then the Hub again in February to come out and paint. So a lot of stuff coming up to answer your question. All right, now next question. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. Looking for some tips on triple tail. Well, right now the triple tail are definitely fewer and further between. We see this time of year when the water gets really hot and the stone crab traps are gone. We really don't see the triple tail like we do in the cooler times of year when those stone crab traps are out there. So stone crab season will open up in October. When those stone crab traps get back out there, those cold fronts start, we'll definitely see a lot more triple tail. This time of year, most of those triple tail are down towards the bottom, and so we're actually seeing those triple tail caught by using a small split shot and a live shrimp, and letting that live shrimp sink down next to one of those markers inside the bay. Excuse me, one of those markers inside the bay. That's how we've been seeing those triple tail caught recently. Richard Blazak, I appreciate you sending the stars. I think I got your last name, Blazak, that's it. I think I got your last name right this time. Keith McNeil, Tracy O'Brien, Jim Evans, Richard Carmichael, appreciate you guys. Randy Kessel continually sending plenty of stars. Thank you guys. With that, I think it is time to give away our 10-hour all day for 2 guests. We're going to give away a 10-hour all day for 2 guests right now. Let's see who the lucky winner is once my computer finished loading. Hurry up and wait, right? All right. So 10-hour all day for 2 guests. The lucky winner is, drum roll please, John Rose from Fort Myers. John Rose, thanks for watching. Remember, if you are picked as one of those lucky winners, you do have to message our page in about 5 minutes to claim your free trip, and you message that phone number in the upper right hand corner, your home address. That's how you claim those free trips, John, and anybody else who perhaps might get chosen as one of those lucky winners. So let's see here who is next on the question block. Hey Dylan, was wondering if you're gonna do some all days on the Hub when the Florida goes to dry dock this year. So yes, the Florida will be going to dry dock after Labor Day, and I think it's like September. I gotta look it up. I never like guessing because I'm always wrong. So yes, September 8th is the first day where our 10-hour all day is not on the Florida. It runs on the Hub, not the Flying Hub 2. It runs on the Hub. And so we take 14 people on there, and it's full price. There's no discounts for anyone for any reason on the Hub. So only 14 people. So because it's a light load on one of our charter boats, it's basically a split charter trip, just like our 12-hour extreme trips. So the 10 hours are really special. They start again September 8th, and that runs all the way through, I believe, I forget when we have it scheduled to. I'm gonna have to look so I don't guess. That runs all the way through Tuesday, October 22nd. So September 8th through October 22nd, we have those 10-hour all days running on the Hub. And again, no discount for anybody. It's $109 plus tax for everybody, but you're on the smaller private charter boat, and you are able to bring alcohol because that boat doesn't have an alcohol license. So you can bring your own beer, but you really shouldn't, because just like the Flying Hub 2, there's no air conditioned cabin. So it's a fishing trip. It's an extreme fishing trip. You're out there in the sun. You really need to take her easy and drink lots of water and be careful. Last year, we lost, I believe, 2 trips due to people not hydrating, not being careful, and we had to come home early to get those people medical attention because of heat stroke. So this year, we're going to be a little bit more strict on that. If I see someone going out there with a cooler full of beer and looking like they're not there for the right reasons, I'm not going to let them go out there and ruin the trip for everybody, including us, by acting a fool. So we're going to be a little bit more strict on it this year. And we had that problem on the Flying Hub 2 the other day. Some clients went out there and had a little too much to drink and ended up breaking one of our seat backs, which we're going to have to custom fabricate tomorrow. Not a lot of fun, not very cheap to fix. So we got to get a little bit more strict there on the drinking and carrying on these private charter boats. And that's a good reason why we have alcohol licenses on our party boats. Alcohol licenses allows us to control the flow of alcohol, and we don't provide liquor. And that's why my grandfather back in the 80s got those alcohol licenses, because we wanted to get away from that crazy drunken debauchery that we had back in the early 80s, 60s, and 70s, where people would bring bottles of booze on the 39-hour trip, and it would turn ugly quickly. So on the private charter boats, we don't have alcohol licenses because they're too small. They don't carry enough people, but we also still got to be respectful and responsible adults. Let's see here. Yeah, be respectful and responsible. Because I'm always respectful and responsible. Let's see, what's the next question? When's the best time of year to take a 10-hour trip? We talked about that a little bit previous. Basically, the best time of year is whenever you're free to get out there on the water. That's the best time of year to go, is when you're available. But I mean, it depends on what you want to catch. That's what's going to narrow it down for you. My uncle did a trip years ago where he used squirrel fish or sand perch for bait. He got the bait as a special. Do you have special bait anymore? What's the price? If you do, what do they catch? So back in the day, we did used to separate out our bait. So when I was a kid, when I was young, I actually worked in the bait shop, and that was one of my first jobs when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old. I think I was like younger than that. I think it was like 5 or 6. I had to stand on a bucket to see in the shrimp tank. But basically, we'd sort out the shrimp. So we'd have small, medium, large, jumbo shrimp, and then we'd sort out the pinfish, and we'd sort out the squirrel fish, and we'd have small, medium, large, and extra large, jumbo, all this kind of stuff, and they were all different prices. Nowadays, Gabe's back. Gabe's in the game tonight. Sent 2,500 stars. Thanks, Gabe. I appreciate it, man. I thought you missed the show tonight, buddy. I was wondering where you were at. Randy Kessel getting a run for his money. Gabe will not be denied. But to answer the question, we don't really do that anymore. We are blessed to be a lot busier. So we have not been separating out the bait just because of the volume. Lately, we've been on our busier times of year, like last year when we didn't have COVID. In spring and summer, we were ordering 12,000 shrimp a day, and we don't have enough time or manpower to sort out those shrimp to make a couple extra bucks. So long story short, we don't have any special separated bait. It's all mixed together. So you get squirrelfish, pigfish, pinfish all together instead of being all separated out. But you can separate it out if you want. We do what's called hand-picked, and if you do hand-picked, it's just a little bit more per dozen. If I won a 39-hour trip, could I trade it for a 12-hour for two? So the trips basically they're non-transferable, and there's a little paragraph at the bottom of the gift certificates. We don't honor them in red snapper season or spring break, but we do work with you a little bit if you have a 39-hour trip and you can't use a 39-hour trip. There's no way you could be out there all weekend. We can talk about some options for sure. So I'm not saying yes and I'm not saying no. I'm saying we can look at it on a case-by-case basis. I had someone call the other day and they said, well, you said during your live show. And so now during the live show, I'm not making any definitive answers. Let's see. What is next? What is the best rod length for a 39-hour trip? That is a great question. So rod length, I get this question a lot. What size rod do I need for a 10-hour trip? What length rod do I need for a 39-hour trip? Really, rod length comes down to your personal preference. The longer the rod, the more you're going to get that line away from the side of the boat, and the more the rod's going to bend, and the longer the lever, the more or the less work you're going to have to do at the end of the lever, just physics. So longer rods do help. So for big fish like grouper, amberjack, typically those are going to be longer rods, like 8-foot rods, 7.5-foot rods, 7'2" rods. Those are going to be your bigger fish rods. Now, smaller fish, you don't need as big of a rod for, but again, you might hook a bigger fish. So me personally, I'm about 6'7", and I like my rods to be about my height because it makes it really easy to transport them, makes it real easy to move them around the boat without hurting the rod or hurting the guide. It makes it real easy to hang them in rod racks, throw them in my truck because I know how tall I am, so I can maneuver doors quickly with my rods because I know how tall they are. So 6'7" is average for most rod types, and it's not super tall and it's not super short. 7'2" is again just about average, not super long, not super short. Once you get over 7'2", once you get 7.5, they start getting long. Starts getting hard to move unless you got a big vehicle or a truck bed to put those rods in. 8-foot rods, they are awesome when you hook a big fish. They suck ass to store and to move and to carry on and off the boat just because they're too long. You can't really put them anywhere, and you can't put them in your vehicle. It's very difficult. So you got to think about more than just fishing. To me, 6.5, 7'2" is a good length because you can put it in your garage and you're not going to have to make it all wonky. You can put it in your house. You can put it in your vehicle. You can store it. You can move it around easily. So that's what I'd recommend. Think about more than just being out on the boat. But as far as the best rod length, probably 7.5, 8 foot for bigger fish. For mangrove snappers, 6.5, 7'2" is fine. So most of my rods are either 6.5 or 7'2". And I do have an 8-foot rod, but I really don't bring it out much because I just don't like moving it around. Good question, though. When will the Flying Hub 2 be fixed? I was so disappointed driving from Ohio to hear that there was a mechanical issue. So unfortunately, part of offshore fishing are weather issues, mechanical issues. It does occasionally happen. It sucks. No one likes canceling a trip, and no one hates canceling a trip more than me. Trust me. The last thing I want to do is cancel a trip and ruin someone's plans. We're here to make you guys happy. We guarantee an excellent client experience with superior guest service, and I believe the one thing that sets us apart in the industry is our guarantee and our dedication to our client's experience and that customer service. But unfortunately, we can't control the weather. We can't make fish bite, and sometimes mechanical unforeseen issues do arise. We talked about our dry dock schedule and how every year we give these boats a lot of TLC and love. We stay up on our scheduled maintenance, but sometimes things do happen. With the Flying Hub 2, we've had some electronic gremlins. We went out and bought brand new, over $100,000 Yamaha 425s. They're totally bad to the bone engines. When they're running, they run great. They run the boat fast, reliable. It's awesome when the engines are running. But we've had some electronic gremlins. Luckily, we worked it out. The boat was running fine for about 3 days. And then this morning, we get up to do our 12-hour extreme trip. The starboard engine wouldn't start. So at this point, we've contacted Yamaha Corporate. We're working with the vice president of marine sales, and the president of Yamaha Marine called us the other day. So we are working with the top tier of Yamaha. That's how good their service goes. We're literally working with the president and vice president of Yamaha Corporation. So pretty cool to have that type of service and to have that type of attention on our boat. And hopefully they're going to figure out this electronic gremlin, or they're going to give us new motors. That's where we're at with Yamaha. And we're working through a difficult time and a difficult issue, but they think the problem's fixed. We all think it's fixed. We all agree it's fixed. Boat runs great for a few days, and all of a sudden something happens. So that's where we're at right now with the Flying Hub 2, but we are on the doorstep of having it fixed. We got to have it fixed. Definitely tired of these random and unforeseen and uncontrollable breakdowns, but that is part of going fishing on a go fast boat. If the weather is at all adverse, if something's going wrong, we can't go out there at 40 miles an hour on a go fast boat. That's why bigger party boats are a little bit more stable. If you're traveling in from Ohio or California or Washington to go fishing, might be better to look at a longer trip instead of coming into town that far for a 12-hour trip. Maybe think about coming in for a 39-hour or 44-hour on a bigger party boat that 4-foot seas won't cancel. A 3-foot sea is going to make a 12-hour extreme trip cancel. A 3-foot sea on the Florida fisherman on a 39-hour trip, that's a nice trip. That's not even bumpy. So you really got to think about what you're booking and your length of trip and your length of travel. If you're traveling more than the length of the trip, it's a good idea to do a longer trip. So if you're traveling 5 hours to go on a 5-hour half day, that doesn't make sense. If you're traveling 5 hours, you want to do at least a 10-hour trip, if not a 12-hour or 39-hour trip. Basically, I like to travel at least, I want to fish at least double my travel time, if not more. But that's me personally. But to answer your question, the boat will be fixed tomorrow, and hopefully we won't have any more issues. So all we can do is work our tails off and get it back up and running and run trips until something else comes up, and then we fix it. That's part of owning a boat. Break out another 1,000. When something happens, we have to bounce back from it and get back out there on the water. So I have a lot of people asking about questions. If you have a question, you got to text us at that phone number. We get about 1,500 comments on Facebook, and by the time you comment and I've said a few words, your comment disappears and I can't see it. So the only way you can get your question answered is by texting us at that phone number in the upper right hand corner. On YouTube, your questions are only there for a very short period, even shorter period of time, and then after the show they totally disappear. At least on Facebook, after the show I can go back through the comments and try to answer a few things, but YouTube, you got no shot. If you comment, for some reason the comments disappear on a live stream after the show, so it doesn't make very much sense. So especially you YouTubers, if you have a question, make sure you text that phone number. Let's see, how do not target AJ? So I guess what you're asking is, how do you not target amberjacks? Good question, valid question. I wouldn't want to catch a 100-pound amberjack either. How you not target amberjacks is using dead bait. Using some dead bait, dropping down the bottom. Use small dead bait, because sometimes those bigger strips of dead bait can trick an amberjack into biting. I've caught a few amberjacks on big strips of bonita, dropping those down for red snapper, unfortunately. So Definitely dead bait, small dead bait, lighter tackle, gets you down there quickly, gives you a chance at some of those yellowtails or mangroves or the other heads and tails on those wrecks while we're out there in deep water targeting amberjack. Hi, tuning in on Facebook. What's the best places to catch grouper without going super far out? Well, there's places like Publix and Don's Dock Wild Seafood. They sell grouper. Oh my goodness, Chris Fink is back. Just totally upset Gabe's lead. Chris sent 6,400 stars. I really appreciate it. And Chris, I've been out, but I heard you drop me off a bottle of Jameson, so I really appreciate you, Chris. All the stars, and he brought me a bottle of Jameson. So Chris, you're gonna have your photo hanging above my desk here soon. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. Instead of employee of the month, it's customer of the month. That's you, Chris. I saw the guy. Wait. I saw that they're talking about opening back up red snapper in Alabama. Is there a chance they would do that in Florida? And why are the regulations so different between the two states? Now that is another fishery regulation question that we need a whole nother show for, because basically for red snapper, the federal government has relented red snapper management to the states for private recreational red snapper. So if you're a private angler on a private boat, the states manage your recreational red snapper quota. So state of Florida, state of Alabama, state of Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, they have all different red snapper seasons for private recreational anglers. Now for red snapper, the charter for hire, which is the charter boats and party boats, did get split out of the recreational sector in what's called a for hire recreational sector. Now the for hire recreational sector is still federally managed. That's why if you're on a charter boat or party boat, it doesn't matter if you're in Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, or Texas, your red snapper season is the same. So we're federally managed as federal for hire recreational fishermen. Private recreational fishermen are managed by the state, and each state has a different quota. Each state has different accountability measures. Each state has different everything, different even currency. So that is one of the big things they're talking about in recreational fishing right now. Is state management was this huge big win, but now they're trying to figure out how to manage the states managing themselves and how the state data reconciles with federal data. That is one of the biggest questions. There's a Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council meeting coming up starting August 24th, and that is going to be a very colorful discussion when they bring up recreational red snapper quota and state management and their data collection. So not going to go too deep into that because that's a rabbit hole I could spend a lot of time exploring, and it goes deep. So to answer your question, they're different because the states manage differently, and the state seasons will get extended or not extended based on state quotas and what each state private recreational industry landed. When amberjacks get big, are they still good eating? Generally, yes. Amberjack are pretty good eating fish. They're definitely not snapper or grouper. I think amberjack is a little bit more oily, a little darker meat. They don't have worms as much as people say they do. The east coast of Florida has a really bad worm problem with amberjacks. On our beautiful west coast, we have amberjack, and they're not as wormy. And if they do have worms, it's right towards the tail, and you can just cut that little section out. It's no big deal. So we definitely have 100,000% less parasites in our amberjack on the west coast of Florida compared to the east coast of Florida. Bigger, older amberjacks tend to have more. So on the east coast of Florida, you catch a big amberjack, they just release it. They don't even bother killing it because it's full of worms. On our west coast, you can catch a big amberjack and it's not that wormy, if any worms at all. And amberjack, I personally like smoking up my amberjack and making fish spreads. So it doesn't matter if it's a real big or a real small fish. Once you smoke it and you grind up all that meat to make fish spread, it doesn't matter. It just means more fish spread for me. So I don't care if it's big or small, but general rule of thumb with any fish, the bigger they get, the older the fish, the more they've been around the block, and their meat definitely gets a little bit more dense and a little bit more chewy and a little bit more firm. So younger fish definitely going to have smaller, their texture is going to be a little bit softer, and generally smaller fish are more of a prized dish. So smaller fish like strawberry grouper, scamp grouper, those lionfish, incredible eating fish. Let's see, what other questions do we have? You touched on taking the boat to, I think, Shell Key Island and camping. Can you cover it again, please? As far as our camping at Shell Key, it's not really fish related, but I'll chat about it real quick. So my sister Tara is stepping up a little bit more, and she is doing, one of the things she's doing is helping me out with our social media, advertising the trips that I often neglect to advertise as well, or just don't advertise as well because I don't have the content, is our pleasure cruises, our dolphin tour, our sunset cruise, our island trips, our Shell Key and Egmont Key ferry trips, snorkeling, shelling, that kind of stuff. I don't do such a good job promoting that stuff, so Tara's stepping up a little bit more. You're going to see some more photos and videos of that kind of stuff, and that was one of her posts, was about Shell Key camping. So this time of year, we run a Shell Key ferry daily from Fort DeSoto's boat ramp out to Shell Key. And we offer camping year round. So we don't necessarily camp. The boat doesn't stay with you. All we do is pick you up at the boat ramp and drop you off at Shell Key where you can camp. Then the next day we come back and pick you up. So we're basically your boat ride to and from the island where you can camp. Now, camping is legal all year. You can camp anytime you want as long as you get that camping permit from the county, which is right on our website. You can get it there. I think it's like $6 or something, super cheap. They just want to know who's out there in case you get lost or don't come back. So as long as you have a camping permit, you can camp anytime. However, during sea turtle nesting season, which is going on right now, it ends at the end of September. And once end of September rolls around, October 1st, you can start campfires again, because during sea turtle nesting season, you can't do campfires. And me personally, I would never want to be on that beach this time of year camping in a tent. I love camping in a tent, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to do it when it's 95 degrees at night. I'd much rather do it in October where I can throw up a campfire and drink some whiskey and stay cool. But you can't drink whiskey on Shell Key because there's no alcohol permitted. So I didn't say that, but that's what I would think about doing. But definitely when it's a little cooler out, it gets a little bit nicer to have those camping trips to Shell Key. But we do offer camping, and it's right on our website. If you go to hubbardsmarina.com, go to our website, go to the homepage. Under cruises, you can see our different pleasure cruise trips, our sunset cruise, our dolphin watch, our Egmont Key, our snorkeling trip, and then the Shell Key ferry. If you click on the Shell Key ferry, that's going to bring you to the Shell Key ferry page. And on the Shell Key ferry page, it talks about the camping available. We do offer overnight camping. And there's the link to get the permit. If you scroll to the bottom of any of our pages, you always have the more information that expands, and that's all what talks about the camping. Yes, they have a bunch of rules. All that stuff comes from the county, not us. So make sure you check it all out if you're interested in camping at Shell Key. And with that, I think we are out of time. If you texted us with a question, if you texted to that phone number a question and I didn't get to it live during the show, I'll make sure to go back through and answer whatever questions I did not get to live. And then if you commented on Facebook, I might try to get through some of those, but I don't always get through them all. Keep in mind, you can always text us anytime, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365. Anytime that phone number is available to text. Some people thought, I heard that some people thought it's only during the live show. Nope, that number is available to text 24/7. Anytime you can text us at that number and we can answer you. Or you can call us at that number if you want to talk to us. You can call us at that number and we can get your questions answered or your trips booked or whatever you want to do. So thanks for tuning in tonight. Hopefully we'll see you next week for another episode of our Sunday night live stream show. Tonight, even with talking about fishing regulations, we still had about 470 live viewers. So pretty good show out tonight. I really appreciate it. Shout out to Chris Fink and Gabe for being, and Randy Kessel for being the top 3 stars producers tonight. I know a lot of you other guys and gals sent a bunch of stars as well. I think I saw Jordan's name quite a few times. So really appreciate you guys all sending those stars multiple times. Chad Peterson sent a bunch multiple times. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for all the support, and thank you all for watching the show. So let's see here who won the 39-hour fishing trip. I didn't forget about that. Everybody always thinks I forget because it's the last thing I do. I think I covered everything. So let's see who won the 39-hour fishing trip for one guest. We do a 5-hour half day for 2, 10-hour all day for 2, and then a 39-hour trip for one guest. So let's see who the lucky winner of the 39-hour fishing trip is. Drum roll, please. And my dog's barking. Hopefully it doesn't wake up the baby. Chris Presley. Chris Presley, one of our new Regulars Club members this year, goes out fishing quite a bit. Very cool. Glad he got a chance to win the live stream show. Congrats. Make sure, again, if you're picked as the lucky winner, text us at that phone number in the upper right-hand corner, your home address. We'll get you out that free that free trip that you won. And for the rest of you guys, hopefully we'll see you next Sunday night for another episode of this live stream show. Appreciate you guys all hanging out with me, and hope to see you soon here at Hubbard's Marina. Remember, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Don't forget about our Friday morning live segments on Fox Channel 13 News with our good friend Russell Rhodes. And don't forget about this weekly Sunday night show every Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern for an hour. Hopefully you guys have a great week. Stay healthy, stay safe. We'll see you next Sunday night. Thanks for tuning in.